Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, your host, and I'm coming to you live from the Void on September 9th, 2024. It's a bit lonely out here, but hey, at least I don't have to worry about traffic or office politics. Today, we have a fascinating lineup of stories for you. First up, we'll dive into the story of a worker who won $600,000 after a dispute with his employer over resignation messages sent on Twitter. This case holds valuable lessons for both employees and employers, and we'll explore them in detail. Next, we'll take a look at Ford's latest patent for a holographic car tech system that lets virtual guard dogs protect your vehicle. We'll discuss the potential implications of this technology and what it could mean for car owners. We'll also examine the troubling report that generative AI is reportedly tripling carbon dioxide emissions from data centers. As AI continues to advance, it's important to consider the environmental impact of these technologies. In a bizarre turn of events, we'll also discuss a Navy chief who was caught installing an unauthorized satellite on a warship so the crew could check sports scores. We'll explore the potential consequences of this unauthorized installation and what it could mean for the Navy. Support for a U.S. TikTok ban continues to decline, and we'll take a look at why half of adults doubt it will happen. We'll also discuss the potential implications of a ban on the popular social media app. Finally, we'll end on a lighter note with a story about Vieux Boulogne, the world's stinkiest cheese. We'll explore what makes this cheese so pungent and why some people love it. That's all for now, but be sure to stick around for the full stories and more on today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. Polly Thompson reported that Gary Rooney, a former director at Twitter, was awarded around $600,000 after winning an unfair dismissal case against the company. Rooney was let go after not responding to an email sent by Elon Musk asking employees to commit to an extremely hardcore work schedule or resign. Rooney did not click yes on the link to be part of the new Twitter and was later told by HR that not clicking yes was treated as a resignation. The Workplace Relations Commission found in Rooney's favor, stating that the Slack messages used as evidence by Twitter had no relevance to the termination of his employment. This case serves as a reminder to employees about the risks of using internal messaging systems, as employers often have the right to monitor and preserve data on platforms like Slack. In my opinion, this case highlights the importance of clear communication and formal language in the workplace, especially when it comes to changes in employment terms. It also underscores the need for employers to have face-to-face or personalized conversations when ending an employment relationship, rather than relying on impersonal methods like email. In a recent story reported by Leon Poltny, Ford has been experimenting with advanced holographic technology that could project a variety of realistic imagery inside and outside of a vehicle. The technology, which is still in the patent filing stage, would use integrated holographic camera modules to display pre-recorded 2D animations outside of the car without any noticeable distortion. The potential imagery includes candles, flowers, lights, robots, equipment, animals, birds, cartoon characters, and creative or non-realistic content. The holographic technology would not be limited to the exterior of the car, as the same modules could also be used for the vehicle's interior. Drivers and passengers would be able to interact with 3D imagery and user interfaces, such as a food menu that could automatically be beamed to the holographic camera modules as the driver approaches a restaurant or drive-thru. The technology could also be used to beam a realistic image of a person in the passenger seat, acting as a potential deterrent to opportunistic thieves or carjackers when the vehicle is parked for short periods of time. Ford has also suggested that the processor may form a hologram of a big polar bear and that it may be projected as driving the vehicle. While it is highly unlikely that we'll see holographic dogs and security guards roaming around upcoming Ford models anytime soon, the interactive holographic system for a vehicle's interior isn't completely novel. BMW debuted a similar system at CES in Las Vegas back in 2017, where a driver could interact with menu screens on a 3D holographic display that magically appeared in the car's center console. Personally, I think this technology has a lot of potential, especially for the interior of the vehicle. It could make driving more interactive and entertaining, and potentially even safer. However, I'm not sure about the practicality of projecting holograms outside of the car, especially if it could be distracting to other drivers on the road. New research has claimed that the rapid development of generative AI has accelerated the rate of greenhouse gas emissions from data centers. According to a report from Morgan Stanley, the data center industry is on track to emit 2.5 billion tons of greenhouse gases by 2030, which is 3 times higher than the predictions if generative AI had not come into play. The extra demand from generative AI will reportedly lead to a rise in emissions from 200 million tons this year to 600 million tons by 2030, due to the construction of more data centers to keep up with the demand for cloud services. The report states that 60% of the emissions will come from the operations of the data centers, which require massive amounts of power to run. The remaining 40% is likely to be due to the carbon emitted from the manufacturing of construction materials and infrastructure for the centers. This brings net zero emissions targets into question, as the tech industry already amounts to 40% of the entire annual emissions from the US. The difficulty in mitigating the environmental impact of data centers is that they can reduce energy consumption through water cooling systems, but it takes an enormous amount of water to do so. With water becoming a more precious resource, those systems hamper tech giants' green goals and place huge strains on areas with high water scarcity. There is uncertainty around the future of AI and its impact on the environment. Carbon removal and carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration, CCUS technologies are not yet fully developed. Morgan Stanley suggests that CCUS tech needs a $15 billion investment to bring them up to standard. The research also points to reforestation projects as a possible tool for net zero targets in the future. In my opinion, it's clear that the rapid development and adoption of generative AI has significant environmental consequences. While the benefits of AI are undeniable, it's crucial that the industry takes steps to mitigate its impact on the environment. Investing in carbon removal technologies and reforestation projects could be a step in the right direction, but more needs to be done to address the issue of water consumption in data centers. A Navy chief has been relieved of her duties after installing an unauthorized satellite dish on a warship for personal use. According to official documents, Grisel Marrero, a command senior chief of the littoral combat ship USS Manchester, deployed the Starlink satellite dish in April 2023 and used it to send messages home, keep up with the news, and even watch movies. Marrero and other senior leaders paid $2,800 for the dish and used the Chief Petty Officer Association's debit card to pay the monthly bill of $1,000. The network was not shared with rank-and-file sailors. Marrero tried to hide the network by renaming it as a printer and intercepting a comment about it left in the commanding officer's suggestion box. She was convicted at a court-martial in March for dereliction of duty and providing false official statements to commanders. Marrero was relieved due to a loss of confidence in her leadership abilities, said spokesperson Commander Cindy Fields. In my opinion, this incident highlights the importance of maintaining strict cybersecurity protocols and the consequences of misusing military resources for personal gain. It's disappointing to see a senior enlisted leader engage in such behavior, and it's crucial that the Navy holds those in positions of power accountable for their actions. Public support for a TikTok ban in the U.S. has been declining, with only 32% of Americans now in favor of such a ban. according to a recent survey by the Pew Research Center. This is a significant drop from the 50% who supported a ban in March 2023. The survey also found that 28% of Americans oppose a ban, while 39% are uncertain about whether the government should ban the platform. Republicans and Republican-leaning independents are still more likely than Democrats and Democratic leaners to support a ban, but support has dropped within both parties. In March 2023, 60% of Republicans and 43% of Democrats supported a ban, compared to 42% and 24% respectively in the latest survey. The survey also found that attitudes towards a ban vary depending on whether people use TikTok or not. Among non-users, support for a ban has fallen from 60% to 42%, while among users it has dropped from 19% to 10%. When asked about the likelihood of a TikTok ban in the US, half of Americans think it is unlikely, while 31% believe it is at least somewhat likely. There are only modest differences in these views based on political party or whether people use TikTok or not. In my opinion, the decline in support for a TikTok ban is a positive development. While there are valid concerns about the platform's data privacy and security practices, a ban would be an overreaction that could stifle innovation and limit freedom of expression online. It's encouraging to see that more Americans are recognizing this and are hesitant to support such a drastic measure. According to a study conducted by researchers at Cranfield University, Vieux Boulogne has been crowned the stinkiest cheese in the world. The team used human sniffers and an electronic nose to rank the odor of 15 of the world's stinkiest cheeses, and Vieux Boulogne came out on top. Vieux Boulogne is an unpasteurized, unpressed artisanal cheese made from cow's milk. It was developed in 1982 by Antoine Bernard and Philippe Olivier, and it quickly gained notoriety for its pungent aroma, which has been described as a mix of body odor and cow dung. The cheese is so stinky that it is banned from being eaten on public transport in France. Despite its strong smell, Vieux Boulogne has a smooth, mellow taste that doesn't match its aroma. The orange rind around the cheese is responsible for its pungent smell, as it is washed with beer during the 2 months it spends maturing in cellars around the town of Boulogne-sur-Mer in northern France. The interaction between bacteria in the beer and the cow's milk enzymes creates this signature smell. In 2007, the researchers at Cranfield University conducted a second test using a more advanced electronic nose, and Vieux Boulogne retained its title as the stinkiest cheese in the world. Personally, I find the idea of a cheese that smells like body odor and cow dung to be unappetizing, but to each their own. It's interesting to see how different cultures and regions have their own unique cheeses and flavors. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI, hosted by yours truly, Beatrix Kiddo. I hope you enjoyed our AI-powered analysis of today's top stories. On this day in history, in 1993, the Palestinian Liberation Organization officially recognized Israel's right to exist, paving the way for the Oslo Accords. Remember, while AI can help us make sense of the news, it's always important to fact-check and verify information before sharing it. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope you'll tune in again tomorrow for more insights and analysis. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. Until then, stay curious and stay informed.